We are both devoted fans of Thomas Isidore Sankara. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you were told, but we plan to start the inaugural Thomas Sankara lectures, hopefully, COVID permitting and everything else, later this year or for Black History Month, February of next year. And I want you to know that we're extending an invitation for you to be our very first featured speaker during the Thomas Sankara lectures, which we plan to hold. What can we learn from the legacy that he left behind, Thomas Isidore Sankara?
You know, the English would say this is serendipity. That just this morning I was reading a book, Thomas Sankara Speaks, and one of the things that I was reading was a speech that Thomas Sankara delivered in the month of August 1984. He had done a tour of a number of African countries. He had gone to Ethiopia, he had gone to Angola, he had gone to Madagascar. Then he got interviewed, and the document, actually, the speech is reported on the 10th day of August 1984 in the magazine Carrefour Africain. And I mean, the young man was amazing. I mean, he is saying and he's talking about what he saw in Africa and saying how the imperialists has ensured that we cannot do even the things that we ought to do, feed ourselves. Yes. And he says that we have a duty to ensure that we have an enlightened self-interest in the things that define us. He says also that in order to change a post-colonial state, which is still under the hegemonic influence of the colonizing power, you ought to do certain things which those who look at you will think you are mad, but your madness is orderly. Thomas Isidore Noel Sankara was a phenomenon. He comes and finds a country and he says, why are we called Upper Volta? Why is it that we are called Upper Volta? This is the land of the upright man. This is Burkina Faso. We are the Burkinabes. Between 1983 and 1987, the young man changes the country, and I had no doubt in my mind that they would eliminate him. They couldn't allow him to leave. And that also sends a very clear message that if you arise, if you are in a disunited environment and you shine like a pink puddle, you stand out, they'll cut you down. And that is why it's important to listen to people like Thomas Sankara to recognize that we must have a Pan-Africanist view of things. We must have an understanding of our circumstances. We must understand leadership to mean self-deprivation. We must understand leadership to mean a place of honor and privilege. And we must understand that leadership is about service. And we must understand that when you have the honor and privilege of leading your country, it is not because you are better than everybody else, but because you have been given the honor and privilege, and that it is sacrificial. So I can't agree more that there is a lot to learn from Thomas Noel Isidore Sankara, a great young man cut down at his prime at the behest of one of his bosom friends. You know, it is reported, you may know this, that he actually knew that he would be killed. And they told him in advance that it was Blaise Compaoré who was one of the masterminds. And he said, if it is Blaise, then have no defense. Yes. it's almost like, if you remember the Shakespearean play, when Brutus is stabbing Shakespeare, he says, even you, brute. Yeah, so it's deadly, but a great young man.
Yes. Yeah. President Nano Addo of Ghana was recently in Switzerland, and President of Switzerland, the lady, was very, how should I put it, condescending in her assumption that Africa should remain a source of raw materials for Europe. And of course, President Nano Addo of Ghana quickly let her know that we will, going forward, be taking more advantage of the value chain in our raw materials.
As I have stated on occasion, Ghana no longer wants to be dependent on the production and export of raw materials, including cocoa beans. We intend to process more and more of our cocoa in our country with the aim of producing more chocolate ourselves, because we believe that there can be no future prosperity for the Ghanaian people in the short, medium, or long term if we continue to maintain economic structures that are dependent on the production and export of raw materials. We intend to add value to our raw materials, industrialize and enhance agricultural productivity. This is the best way we can put Ghana at the high end of the value chain in the global marketplace and create jobs for the teeming masses of Ghanaians.
How strongly can we in Africa suggest to the Western powers and China and the rest of them that we will going forward be taking more control of our resources?
There are a number of things that emerge out of your question. I think that Africa has always been the hunting ground for the conceptual West countries and increasingly China. And this is fundamentally because there was no value addition. You look at the area of diamond, for example. Antwerp in Belgium produces not a single gem of diamond, but they determine the price, they cut the diamond. As I speak to you now, in Botswana, in South Africa, and in Namibia, they are now cutting their diamond. As I speak to you now, even Ghana, as Nana Dankwa-Addo Akufo-Addo was talking, I have eaten chocolate from Ghana, and it's going to improve. I want to see us making shoes out of Kaduna. The textile factories in Kaduna ought to be revived. We ought to have textile factories in Lesotho. We ought to have these timber factories in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And I think that President Akufo-Addo has been very consistent in saying this. And in one of the speeches that he delivered, which I like, he said, we must imagine of Africa beyond aid, because that Africa is necessary and possible. We are celebrating that my good friend, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, is the head of the WTO. But beyond being the head, what is going to happen at the WTO during her presence there and during the presence of South Africa's Wamkele at the Africa Continental Free Trade Area? Are we going to ensure that we produce our wine, we produce our textile material, we produce all? And I think that there are efforts already moving in that direction. One of the things that we must do is to ensure that we don't enter into enslaving trade pacts, such as the British are imposing on us, such as the things that the Americans are imposing on us, and increasingly the Chinese are imposing on us. It is critical that we move, and my view is that the Africa Continental Free Trade Area provides the opportunities for us to do. There are 8 regional economic blocks in Africa, covering the South, the center, the Maghreb area, the West, and the Horn, and the East. All these should now operate under the guidance of Africa Continental Free Trade Area and AUDA NEPAD. And we need champions at the political level, champions at the intellectual level, champions at the business level, and champions within the civil society, champions in the diaspora. I'm very happy that some of you within the diaspora are already thinking about creating an African bank or working at the African Development Bank. You'll be surprised, some of the shareholders in the African Development Bank, Ireland, Japan, the United States of America, shareholders, and therefore they want to determine when Dr. Akinwumi Adesina was being put up for re-election. It is the Americans who objected. Why would they? So the secret, as I see it, is greater collaboration, understanding what we want, working on it. We have had enough resolutions. It is the era of implementation, as I see it.
Good, good. Let's talk about China quickly before we round up. Do we, I know the answer to this, but I'm just going to ask it anyway. Do we have valid reasons to be skeptical or nervous of China's political and especially economic influence in Africa? especially given what seemed like their they don't really normally adhere to the norms of human rights and things like that.
Yeah, China is a lender who asks no question. And even at an individual level, if you have a lender who asks no question, that lender is very attractive.
Yes.
So Africa finds ourselves beaten because of COVID, and the African economies have been beaten for the last 10 years because the prices of commodities have gone down. Oil went down, as you know, agricultural products went down, and therefore our revenues simply went south. You have a young population, you have jobs which have been erased. So China became very attractive. And China, the grand agenda of China, as I see it, is to push the envelope beyond what the Westerners subtly. They are coming here, they are not demanding the luxuries of your typical Western traders. In one room, you can find 10 Chinese. They are stoics in the manner in which they live. They are coming here and identifying the things that our politicians want to demonstrate and to showcase to the electorate. A stadium somewhere, a road somewhere, a railway somewhere, things that you can point out and you tell your electors, see the development that I've brought. But what are they doing? They are bringing in a railway line, some of them, because China gives you what you want. If you want the best, they give it to you, if you demand it. If you want the worst, they give it to you. In Africa, unfortunately, because our politicians also want to be bribed, they give us the very worst. In Tanzania, I'll give you an example. They were supposed to do the railway in Tanzania. The Tanzanians, when the new president came in, said, we've got to revise this thing, bring their railway at a third of the cost that we did in Kenya. They were supposed to do the Julius Kambarage Nyerere hydroelectric power. It is the Egyptians who are doing it. In a nutshell, I think the Chinese know what they want. They want to indoctrinate us. It should not be lost on you that the Chinese are building for free Confucius centers in every leading African institution. It is not lost on you that the Chinese built our African Union headquarters and has now offered to build the Center for Disease Control for free. And when they use the word free, you and me know there is nothing that is free. Free is used to hoodwink us. What is going to happen, all our ports, all our natural resources will have been mortgaged to the Chinese. And they are also beginning to become a military power, yes, which means that they are beginning to have military bases in Africa. And if in the future we refuse to do what they want, they'll begin to engage in saber-rattling diplomacy and to tell us that we can strike you from Dhaka in Senegal to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, from Cape Town to Cairo, from Bangui to Leopoldville, militarily. So in my view, it is incumbent upon us in the African continent and those of you who are in the diaspora to begin raising these flags. What they are doing now is to behave like the proverbial Trojan horse. They are coming in this gift, and ultimately they will deal with us firmly, and we will not know what hit us. Yes.
And I believe that. I believe that. Professor, it has been so informative, so revealing to be with you today. What do you have to tell your people here in Canada, where I'm sure when they see this, a lot of people will be glad to hear from Professor P.L.O. Lumumba. Please, a message for your people here in Canada.
I do not claim the monopoly of knowledge nor the monopoly of wisdom, but one of the beautiful things, advantage that you who live out there are able to see. You are able to see how when the resources of a country are deployed in a proper manner, how the quality of people's lives changes. It is those things that you see there that I would love for you to bring back home through your agitation, through your influence, that you can bring pressure to bear for us to do them in the continent of Africa. We must do it. This is an intergenerational agenda, and we must work at it. And I'm very happy that you who are in the diaspora even have time. I mean, the mere fact that you are choosing to do this is in itself indicative of the fact that you feel pain for the mother continent and that you are not at ease, and you must never be at ease. You must always be in a state of unease, because you cannot rest as long as the mother continent is suffering in the way that sometimes she does. As I speak to you now, you know what is happening in southern Cameroon, what is happening in the Nuba Mountains, what is happening in Tigray, what is happening in northern Mozambique, what is happening in the entire Sahel, in Nigeria, with almost daily abductions of young people. All these things ought not to happen in our continent. And even if our voices cannot be heard at their most eloquent, we must keep on shouting. When they keep quiet, our voices will rise above the parapet, and we will make them change. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Professor Lumumba. It has been a great time. I really appreciate it. This is so wonderful, and thanks for honoring us this morning.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me. Stay safe and be blessed.
That has been a very informative, very inspiring conversation with Professor Patrick Lodge Otiono Lumumba, the foremost speaker on African affairs in the continent. We touched issues regarding corruption, development in Africa, the influence of colonialist and neo-colonialist powers, and a whole lot more. I hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to having you here next week on Outlook Africa.